News Central now at this hour begins with the latest from Osun State, where the State Independent Electoral Commission, OCEC, on Sunday presented certificates of return to the newly elected chairman of the state's 30 local government councils. Now, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, dominated the elections, winning all chairmanship and councillorship positions in the southwestern states. OCEC Chairman Barrister Hashim Abioye congratulated the elected officials, urging them to serve the people with integrity. In a statement, the PDP commended the voters for peacefully exercising their democratic rights despite challenges, including harassment by security agents. Our party chairman, Honorable Sunday BC, praised the electorate for resisting attempts to derail the election and condemned violence during the polls, calling for justice for the victims. Meanwhile, Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke has directed newly elected local government chairmen to steer clear of council secretariats to prevent unrest. Speaking at their swearing-in on Sunday, Adeleke urged the 30 chairmen and their deputies to focus on community development and uphold the PDP's manifesto. He praised the peaceful electoral process, commended security agencies, and thanked President Bola Tinubu for maintaining stability. Now, Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde also addressed the event, warning against political violence and urging officials to serve the grassroots diligently. The Osun State Independent Electoral Commission declared PDP candidates winners of all 332 councillorship and 30 chairmanship seats. Away from that, the implementation of local government autonomy in Nigeria remains stalled 7 months after the Supreme Court ordered direct funding to local councils. And despite the July 2024 ruling mandating the allocations bypass state governments, legal experts say both federal and state authorities are delaying compliance, undermining the judiciary's authority. The Supreme Court, led by Justice Emmanuel Agim, declared that withholding local government funds is unconstitutional and barred states from appointing caretaker committees. However, the federal government's 3-month moratorium and ongoing pushback from state governors have slowed progress. Analysts warn that continued delays not only defy the Supreme Court, but also threaten democratic governance at the grassroots level. Earlier, a public affairs analyst, Lester Wilcox, spoke to us on the implementation of the Supreme Court judgment on local government autonomy and also the fallout of the Osun State local government polls.
The Supreme Court, one of the provisions clearly ruled that local governments are not to be run by caretaker committees. The Supreme Court clearly outlawed governors dissolving local government structure. That was a very clear provision of the of the Supreme Court. Those do not need any other political or any other administrative processes in order to implement. I think that if there's any good thing we should get out of that Supreme Court judgment, it is the fact that local governments cannot be dissolved at the whims and caprices of anybody of the governor, because that's what governors do. Today a new government take office, the next day they dissolve local governments and then appoint caretaker committees, or when the attorney expires, they will not conduct the election. So that is a clear provision, and so the Osun State was in breach. The Osun State government was in breach of that provision, and it is clearly in breach.
To discuss this, we're joined by lawyer and a political analyst, Dayo Ajibola. He joins us from Ibadan, Oyo State, Nigeria. Thank you for joining us on the news, Dayo.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, could you tell us, are there any legal consequences that could arise from the federal and state governments delaying the Supreme Court's ruling on local government autonomy?
Well, first and foremost, let me correct an impression. I am speaking from Abuja. I'm joining you from Abuja, not from Ibadan.
All right, thank you.
Yes, I was a local government functionary in Ibadan, but I'm joining from Abuja.
All right,
now,
thank you for that
said,
correction.
Now, the Supreme Court position is so clear that to every designing mind, our governors, I said it here on this TV station at the start of this discourse when the judgment just came out newly, that we should expect the governors to fight back. They will never want the implementation of all these positions of the Supreme Court, because the local government to them is where they are getting their cow, their whatever from. The money of the local government is what they are using to for their own political ends and economic well-being in quote. You know, I said it to the extent that I was saying that the EFCC position should be, you know, made more powerful on local government vis-a-vis monitoring local government funds, how it is spent, and what have you. But today, because the governors have now reached a kind of a hard position on them, sequel to the Supreme Court position, they are now trying to conduct election. However, a kangaroo or what have you election just for them to have their way. And what they are doing is simply for them to justify the position of that law, which says that you cannot just appoint a local government caretaker, you cannot remove a local government chairman anyhow. And they now want to now use this kangaroo election they are state managing everywhere. You know, you can see the position in Osun State now that is almost resulting into anarchy, you know, if care is not taken. So what they are doing, in essence, the governors of each state are doing, in essence, is to find a way to subvert the rule of law, to make sure that the implementation of the position of the Supreme Court is not strictly, you know, so to say, adhered to by looking for ways to bend the law, not necessarily break the law this time around. They bend the law by making sure that, you know, they still have their way by putting their stooges or what have you in position in a kangaroo election. The people will suffer. They are arresting, what's it called? They are arresting development at the local government level. That's interpretation. And when I say they are arresting development, I don't need to start enunciating it. Yeah. It is clear. The Human Developmental Index and people are suffering at the local government already. So the implication is that there will be total, you know, breakdown of law and order if care is not taken, because at the point people will fight back.
All right, Dara, now to avoid the breakdown of law and order, what measures can the judiciary, you know, implement to ensure compliance with the Supreme Court's judgment?
Well, the truth about it, enforcement of the position of certain position from the judiciary is left in the hand of the executive. And so far as the implementation of this outcome of judgment and what have you been passed from the Supreme Court and other higher court of record is that once the implementation to enforce these laws are within the purview of the executive, there will continue to be problem because of political gain that will be involved into those implementation. As we speak, the PDP are crying foul, saying that, oh, they want to use Oyetola to do what in Osun State. Well, I don't know what the position is in Osun fully, but in as much as the implementation of this particular law is not within the judiciary itself, maybe we could create a kind of a system whereby certain law or certain judgments being shown out from our court of record are enforceable by the judiciary itself. Maybe, of course, we can have a headway. But insofar as the implementation of all these laws that have been passed, that have been made through our judgment in the high court of records, are to be implemented by the executive, both at the state and the federal level, there will be problem, there will be chaos. Unless the Nigerian nation itself, we all sit down to redefine the local government vis-a-vis taking into, the judgment already passed, and other factors into play. Because the local government is supposed to be the closest to the people. But what do we have today? We are having a system whereby the state government corner whatever is supposed to come, and this is not peculiar to any party. We must be sincere. You know, every party has been doing that. Every governor, every state have been doing that, and this does not augur well for our society. So what we need to do as a people of the Nigerian state as a whole, in the 774 local government, holistically so in the constitution, we need to sit down and discuss way forward on local government. Do we still want local government as it is? If the answer is yes, what are the things that we need to do? What are things that need to be taken out? What are things that need to be taken into the constitution, such that the governors will not see the local government as the fight cow that they will just be bushering and be sharing a proceed in court now. Whatever is meant for the people, they are taking it home as their own largesse, a booty of war kind of. So unless we do that, the people will continue to suffer at the local government, and this does not go well for the society.
All right, Diana. I know you did say earlier that the state governments are bending the law and appointing their stooges. But what about the federal government's 3-month moratorium? Can it be viewed as a tactic to weaken the ruling? And what are its wider political implications? Talking about the moratorium now.
Okay, I will drop the garb of a lawyer now. I will talk as a political scientist. Now, you see, in as much as the position, of the federal government, yes, 3 months moratorium, but the governors, most of these governors are aspiring to contest for some certain position in 2027. Some of them are aspiring to be president against the current president. Some of our senators are aspiring to be governors, and the local government is what they are going to use. It is structure they are going to use to get into their political offices. So they see the action of the president as trying to just change them, remove them from the scheme of things. And the president too, is trying in his own way. As an elder statesman, he has gotten to the pinnacle of his career. He has gotten to the highest level. He's trying to, let me see how I can move the country forward. But the people aspiring to take over power from him at the governor's level and what have you, collaborating with other people, they wouldn't want it to be so. That is the problem. That is the honest truth, And if some of them are hiding in a corner, hoping that, looking at it from the perspective that if this man should succeed on local government, we are finished. That means we cannot have money to challenge it. They are holding on to local government money. I've been there at the local government level. I know what's obtainable. Certain things cannot be said on here. That's the truth of the matter. So it is the local government money they want to use to fight at the central. That's the truth. Okay. That's the honest truth.
All right.
If you are getting, say, like in a 33 local government, for instance, in Osun State, you are picking about 50 million every month throughout the local government in Osun State. You can calculate and know the interpretation of that when it comes to monetary strength.
I totally understand where you're heading at, Dayo, but just before we wrap up, I would love to hear your thoughts on the just concluded local government elections in Osun State as well, and also the challenges surrounding the implementation of the Supreme Court's ruling on the local government autonomy, and that's how it will affect, these new people that have come into power now.
Well, the Osun State election, even as a secondary school government student, when you are told to define democracy, the election they have just concluded in Osun State, can that be said to be an election? That's not election. Like they say in the local parlance, they will say, corny. They have just written out names of those they want at the local government. That's not election. Election is a system whereby people vote genuinely, without hindrance, without talk at the polling unit, without somebody coercing them to say, come and do this. When you see the population of those that are queuing up for election in this their so-called local government, can that be said to be election? Insofar as the state are the ones controlling those elections, conducting those elections, there is no way you can get a true position of the feeling of the people. Yes, your party might be the one in power in Osun State, but does not reflect that you own every local government in Osun State. How does that validate logic for crying out loud? So they have just done a selection to me. That's not an election in the real sense of it. And as people that really wants to develop, we must begin to think beyond our party and start to think about the Nigerian people. A state becomes totally moribund when it lacks the instrumentalities for the enforcement of the rule of law. And this is what is happening, playing out, not only in Osun State, it has played out in Oyo State, it's playing out in Osun State now. Soludo is doing his own in Anambra State. Before we know what's happening, we might be encouraging and inculcating anarchism into the system. I'm a lawyer. I will never support anything that will subvert the rule of law. So what they are doing, to me, is not in tandem with the principle of democracy. It is not in tandem with the principle of the rule of law. That's my position.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dayo, for speaking to us on this, and also for your time.
Thank you so much.
Staying with politics, in the meantime, the South-South zone of the People's Democratic Party has re-elected Dan Obi as its zonal chairman in an election held in Calabar, Cross River State. Electoral Committee Chairman Vita Abba has announced that Obi secured 174 votes to win the election. Other officials elected include Alaba Turner as secretary, Evelyn Weke as treasurer, and Ijoma Obani as financial secretary. Obi has pledged to end impunity and imposition in the party while working on rebranding efforts. The National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party has distanced itself from a Congress held by the party's South-South zonal executives in Calabar, Cross River State. Now, the event, attended by Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike, saw him describe the South-South as the PDP's strongest hold. In a statement released on Saturday, PDP National Publicity Secretary Debo Ologunaba clarified that the Congress was not an official party event. He explained that the Congress had been postponed to allow for broader consultations as the party's constitution grants the NWC authority over such decisions. However, Wike disagreed, asserting that no Congress or convention had ever required every delegate's participation. Thank you for staying with us. The remains of the former Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, former military governor and retired senior military officer, Lieutenant General Jeremiah Useni, has been committed to Mother Earth in his home in Langtang local government area in Plateau State with full military honors. Correspondent Chizoba Anyonwe reports that family, friends, associates, close allies, government officials at all levels gathered in Plateau State for the funeral service at the Church of Christ in Nations Headquarters, Langtang North local government area. Represented by Nentawi Yelwadda, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, President Bola Tinubu condoled with the bereaved family, saying that the country will miss the general.
He dedicated his life for this country through the war, from different war that he served the country, defended Nigeria to be one. He stood for this country and put his life on the line that all of us should live. That's what General Useni has done to this country and to Nigeria. And for us up here at the national level, we bring a word of comfort to the family, to the state, and to His Excellency the Governor of Plateau State, Barrister Khaled Ulfa.
This is the beginning of the closure of the chapter of the generals known as the Langtang Mafia. But it wasn't a mafia in the to be able to keep Nigeria one.
It is said that from dust we came and unto dust we shall return. Late Lieutenant General Jeremiah Timbut Useni retired has bowed to Mother Earth. His death is a great loss to his family, the Nigerian Army, and the nation in general. We love you, General, but God loves you more.
The Minister of Works, Engineer David Umahi, says that the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway will drive Nigeria's economic growth and energy sustainability. Now, during an inspection of Phase 1 in Lagos, Umahi highlighted the project's 750-kilometer stretch across 9 states, featuring wind turbines, solar lightning, and a railway line to promote clean energy and local investments. He commended the construction firm for its pace and quality while addressing compensation issues along the right-of-way. Umahi also resolved disputes with Lekki Free Trade Zone stakeholders, ensuring smooth project execution. The minister further inspected the Lekki Deep Sea Port Access Road and revealed plans for other key infrastructure projects nationwide. The Taiwanese government has called on Nigeria's federal government to sign the international trade policy agreed by both nations. The Taiwanese representative and chief of mission in Nigeria, while speaking to newsmen in Abuja, says that this has been stalled by China's insistence on a one China policy, which has continued to deny Nigeria benefits from Taiwan as an advanced industrial hub and an agricultural powerhouse. He says that the policy, when signed, will open a floodgate of opportunities for both the federal and state governments, helping Nigeria achieve the objectives of President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda.
It's a good time for Nigerian government and the people to think of what the Chinese government call for one China policy have trapped Nigeria into it. Almost all the major countries in the world, from US, Japan, Australia, European Union, even Russia, has its own one China policy, but they all put on the shelf. They want to have their own one Taiwan policy too. So we feel lucky and we feel quite comfortable that your federal government had already approached us nearly 2.5 years ago. Want to have that IPPA done. So many states have approached us providing certain kind of incentive or ideas that this particular area need to develop agriculture, that area need to develop something like mineral or anything. And we said, fine, but we need to have your patience to wait until federal government to finalize the IPPA.
The Department of State Services has arrested 3 workers of the Lagos State House of Assembly for allegedly attacking its personnel on February 18. Now, the incident occurred after a confrontation at the Assembly on Monday, which saw DSS officers manhandled. This followed an official letter dated February 14, 2025, signed by the acting clerk ATB Otun, inviting the DSS to enhance security at the facility. According to the letter, the DSS was instructed to ensure strict access control from February 15 onward. A source in the DSS revealed that after reviewing CCTV footage, 3 individuals responsible for the assault were identified and arrested. They're expected to face charges in court soon. A group of non-indigenes in Kosofe local government area of Lagos State has called on Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to fulfill his promise to them. Now, the group, which claimed to have worked tirelessly for the governor's re-election, said they wrote a letter to him stating their demands but are yet to receive a response. At a press conference held in Lagos, the group expressed hope that their demands would be addressed once the letter gets to the governor. The group also commended the governor for the various initiatives he has introduced which have brought development to the state.
On 31st May 2024, non-indigenous wrote a letter to him through the Chief of Staff, Governor's Office, Lagos State, on some of the needs and challenges of non-indigenous. And after that, non-indigenous has wrote 3 different reminder letters on different days on follow-up to the letter we wrote. But up to now, we have not gotten a response to that letter. And we believe that His Excellency, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, may have not seen that letter.
A viral post reignited the conversation about the state of pedestrian bridges in Lagos. Now, the Oshodi Pedestrian Bridge, recently shut down due to safety concerns, has drawn public attention to the maintenance of these structures across the city. While pedestrian bridges are meant to ensure safety, many Lagosians still choose to cross major highways instead. Is it a matter of convenience, or are these bridges simply not in the best condition? News Central's Chidinma Ona takes a closer look.
I pass Oshodi Bridge, that bridge where they go cross, come the other side. Like say they go look at you. And the bridge they shake. I see last my everybody, I think in my body they shake. I can't see other people they complain and say the bridge they shake.
It all started with a post. A Nigerian shared concerns about the faulty state of the Oshodi Pedestrian Bridge, questioning why it had been left in such a dangerous condition. Shortly after, the Lagos State government ordered the immediate closure of the pedestrian bridge connecting Oshodi bus terminals 2 and 3, citing safety concerns. But for many, this raises a bigger question. How well are Lagos pedestrian bridges being maintained? Would people choose the safer option of using the bridge, or is crossing the road for convenience and speed more appealing?
Nobody should prefer crossing the road so far there's a pedestrian bridge. That's the essence of the pedestrian bridge. But I think the other day when the bridge got spoiled, there was a room created for us to cross the road. Okay, but since it's been reconstructed, so no one should be happy crossing the road where there is pedestrian bridge.
I feel more safer using the bridge. Even during the time they had an accident about the bridge, I was even scared during that period.
Crossing the road would be more convenient because I'm still young and all that. But then, safer, yes, it's the pedestrian bridge and also I feel like for me personally, it's a physical exercise that can help my own personal physical goals.
I'm climbing the bridge every day. The bridge is standing and it's okay. People used to work on it. They are working on it every day. Nobody is complaining.
Some say using pedestrian bridges is a safer option, while others argue that the bridges are poorly maintained, difficult to access, or even unsafe at night.
What I would just want the government to do for us about the security. Sometimes the reason why people don't want to use pedestrian bridge is because of during the night, those area boys, they hang on it and they try to harass people. Like, there is a time that I'm using the one at Mowe. If you say that the one at Mowe, people don't use it because of the area boys. They hang there, they sleep on it. If our government can work on it, it's for pedestrians not to sleep, not to rest. It's just to walk.
Well, maintenance, they can do better. Though, in recent times, we've seen new bridges come up, but then I think in maintenance aspects, they can do better. It's not properly maintained for most parts of Lagos.
Lagosians are calling for urgent repairs and better maintenance, citing issues like broken steps, poor lighting and security risks. But what does it take to maintain these structures? We spoke to an engineer to find out.
Over time, bridge naturally should have some special attention because, it's only sustainable to corrosion, whereas tears due to environmental degradation and all that. And components such as the railing, the deckings, they get wear out, over time. So naturally, maintenance should be upscale when it comes to the issue of bridge because it's actually of safety consequences. There is need for design enhancement. The government or our engineers, you need to incorporate you know, user-friendly features, you know, in our bridges, right? You know, such as shaded areas, sitting benches. There's nothing that precludes people from, you know, wanting to, you know, have a waiting for somebody and staying on the bridge, you know, benches and all that are comfortable, that will allow people to, you know, be able to use, you know, the area. Secondly, location optimization. And what I mean by that, I mean, if we're going to be locating our bridges, we must make sure that our bridges are located close to high traffic zones and high traffic areas, right? And they are located to, you know, having studied the traffic of the human traffic within the area, making sure that the bridges are properly located.
Now, as Lagos continues to grow, the debate over safety and convenience remains a pressing concern, whether it's on the maintenance of these bridges or the choices of road users. Well, the balance between safety and ease will determine how Lagosians will navigate their city. In Lagos, reporting for News Central, I am Chidinma Ona.
Thank you, Chidinma, for that report. Now, in a tragic incident, 7 people have died and 6 others injured in a communal clash in Edo State. The Edo State Police Command disclosed this in a statement on Sunday. According to the command spokesman, Moses Yamu, police received a distress call on February 21 of an ongoing clash between Gbelemonti and Maidoti communities of Ovia Northeast local government area of the state. Casualties were taken to a hospital where 7 were confirmed dead. Now, the situation has been brought under control since, and Police Chief Betty Otimenyin pledged a thorough investigation, urging the public to resolve grievances through appropriate channels to prevent further violence. Chief Government Owezide Ekpemukpolo, popularly known as Tompolo, and Chairman of Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited, has been named the Security Personnel of the Year by Daily Telegraph Publishing Company Limited, publishers of New Telegraph, Saturday Telegraph, and Sunday Telegraph newspapers. Tompolo says the award held in Lagos will inspire him to further contribute to the oil and gas development and nation building in general. Receiving the award on his behalf by Mr. Paul Bene Bimimo, Tompolo expressed gratitude to the board, management, and staff of New Telegraph for recognizing his contributions in enhancing the security of critical oil and gas pipelines in the Niger Delta.
And first and foremost, I want to thank God Almighty, who actually gave Tompolo the enablement to do what he's doing for the country. And also thank the New Telegraph for recognizing him as the Private Security Personnel of the Year. Truly, he's happy, he's elated for the fact that since he received this mandate to secure Nigerian oil and gas infrastructures, which is the life wire for the country, he's happy that it's paying off. Back then, 2022, when this mandate was given to him, the production was around 800, 900, and so on barrels per day. But today, Nigeria has hit the 2 million barrels per day mark, which is very significant. Looking at the budget for the year, you can see that Nigeria will certainly meet its obligations in terms of providing infrastructure for the citizens.
Nigeria is home to breathtaking natural landscapes, yet many of its tourist sites remain untapped. Now, one of such hidden gems is the Karshi waterfall, located at the outskirts of Abuja. Despite its stunning beauty and tourism potential, the site remains largely unknown, untapped, and underdeveloped. Now, our correspondent, Idong Joseph, visited the waterfall and brings us more in this report.
Hidden deep inside the rugged landscapes of Karshi lies a breathtaking natural wonder, the Karshi waterfall. With its cascading waters and serene environment, it holds immense tourist potential for the federal capital. On this visit to the location, there were no fun seekers, no sightseers, just an untouched paradise waiting to be explored. As we navigate through the rocky paths leading to the waterfall, the only guide we found was not a tour operator, but a cattle rearer familiar with the terrain.
Mun dade anan mun kai shekara 8 muna zauna anan kuma kullum idan suna zuwa nan muna bi su mu ma muna zo muna yi abun nan namu a wurin su ba muna zuwa tare da su ko sun zo ma ko wanda ba su sani ma muna kawo su.
For adventurers and nature lovers, the site offers more than just a scenic view, a raw, unspoiled experience of nature. Many remain hopeful that the waterfall will eventually be developed into a major attraction.
Wurin babba wuri ne, kuma saboda wuri ya zama a mai da shi wuri mai kyau, babba wuri ne, shi ne yasa suna zuwa, kuma manyan mutane ne suna zuwa wuri. Yau ranar Asabar, abin da yasa ba su zo yau, kila ba su samu zuwa ba ko za su zo ko suna da niyan zuwa ba su samu lokacin zuwa yau din ba.
With Abuja's tourism sector growing rapidly, Karshi Waterfalls holds a hidden gem waiting to be discovered. The big question that remains on the lips of many is that, will the government or private investors tap into its potential, or will it remain an isolated beauty known only to a few? In Abuja for News Central, Idonk Joseph.
The news continues in the east of the continent, where the Sudanese army has announced that it has successfully broken the siege imposed by the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces on El Obeid, the capital of North Kosofe State. The siege had been in place since the outbreak of the war in April 2023. Now, Army spokesman Nabil Abdullah confirmed that the forces managed to reopen the road to El Obeid, merging the soldiers stationed east of the city. Now, this marks a critical victory for the Sudanese army, as El Obeid is a strategic hub in the ongoing conflict. The break-in of the siege is seen as a key step in shifting the balance of power in the region. Meanwhile, Sudan's paramilitary Rapid Support Forces and a coalition of political and armed groups have signed a founding charter to establish a parallel government in the war-torn country. The signatories stated that the charter lays the groundwork for the government of peace and unity in areas controlled by rebels. This move comes nearly 2 years into the devastating war with Sudan's regular army, which has displaced more than 12 million people and triggered what the United Nations deems the world's worst hunger and displacement crises. The long-awaited sign-in, which had been delayed several times, took place behind closed doors in Nairobi, Kenya. Notably absent was RSF commander Mohammed Hamdan Daglo, though his brother Abdul Rahim Daglo signed on behalf of the group. We move to the DRC now, where hundreds of Bukavians gathered for a meeting organized by social and political figures from South Kivu to express their support for the newly established AFC M23 authorities. Now, this comes as M23 fighters continue to advance on multiple fronts in the volatile eastern region of the Democratic Republic of Congo. On Friday, the UN Security Council for the first time urged Rwanda to stop backing the M23 group and to help end the bloodshed. The M23, reportedly supported by 4,000 Rwandan soldiers, now control large parts of eastern DR Congo, a region rich in natural resources. Their rapid progress has displaced thousands, with the fighters taking control of Bukavu, South Kivu's provincial capital, just days after capturing Goma, the capital of North Kivu.
Nous n'avons pas les choix, la population de Bukavu. Nous attendons surtout à de l'amélioration des vies. Donc, peu importe ce qui peut arriver, mais l'amélioration des vies seulement. Les boulots et tout comme ça. Qu'on donne les boulots, nous les jeunes, qu'on améliore la vie de tout un chacun étant congolais. Un peu ça.
On attend qu'on voit des changements qui est concret à ce qu'on a vu, on a vécu bien avant. Parce qu'on avait beaucoup de problèmes. On a fait beaucoup de problèmes. Parce que nous, comme les jeunes, on n'avait pas des emplois.
The Congolese community in Nigeria has called for an end to the war ravaging the Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, members of the community converged on Abuja for a prayer session to bring an end to the war, saying that the situation is dire as millions have been killed following attacks by M23 rebels and forces suspected to be from neighboring Rwanda.
So the situation right now in Congo is not good. It's not good at all, especially in the north and south Kivu. It's not good, and that's where I grew up from. I grew up from there, so I know what it is to be in insecurity. I know what it is when you're seeing your loved one being killed. So it's not an easy situation.
Everything that is taking place in the east of Congo, the invasion that we have been invaded by the Rwandese and the M23, but we want to stand behind our president, behind our army, FARDC, and to stand behind every Congolese woman and man that has been aggressed, that has been part of this violence, that people are dying. More than 10 million of people are already dead in Congo. So we are calling to all the friends of Congolese, not only Congolese, everywhere in the world, every friend of Congolese. Today we will gather here, not only Congolese, with all our Nigerian friends, all our Francophone community friends, to pray that God justice will be established, that peace will reign in Congo.
It's so painful because you have so many people who are displaced. Women have been raped, children can't go to school, there's no water. You have a lot of crises going on there, sicknesses, you know, you have cholera and all these things. And it's really affecting both politically, sentimentally, and everything. So nobody can be at peace when others are suffering somewhere. It's just like a part of your body who is sick. So it's the whole body that is sick.
In the world of sports, the World Anti-Doping Agency has withdrawn its lawsuit against the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency and its CEO, Travis Taggart, over allegations regarding Chinese swimmers' doping cases in 2021. WADA cited its decision as an effort to move forward and strengthen global anti-doping measures. The lawsuit stemmed from Taggart's accusations that WADA covered up positive tests of 23 Chinese swimmers ahead of the Tokyo Olympics. WADA maintained that its acceptance of China's food contamination explanation was justified and backed by an independent Swiss report. Now, despite standing by its case, WADA stated further legal action was necessary. Taggart, a longtime critic of the WADA, responded by insisting that the findings raised new questions requiring further scrutiny. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, here's another look at some of our major stories. You heard that Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke has ordered newly sworn-in chairmen, councillors to stay away from local government secretariats amidst political tension. You also heard that 7 have died, 6 others injured in communal clash in Ovia northeast local government area of Edo State. Finally, we told you that Sudan's army has broken the siege on El Obeid, capital of North Kosofe State. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.